right, folks, we are back. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, and we are now joined with a veteran of the market and finance for over 25 years, the host of The Oracle, and called by many the Michael Moore of Wall Street. Personally, I think this guy's a lot better than Michael Moore, a lot more open and honest. Max Keiser. Max, thanks for joining us.
Oh, Jason, you forgot to tell your audience I'm calling from Paris, France, where it is 5 o'clock in the morning.
That is true. He is very gracious with his time at a unbelievable hour, giving us an hour here. Now, before we get into, current events, the G20, this new quantitative easing, a.k.a. global currency and all that, why don't you tell people how you get involved in all this?
Well, the same thing, UFOs, unidentified financial objects, I should call them.
So that's what drove you into this?
Yeah. Well, I was on Wall Street during the 1980s. That's when I started my career. And at that time, it was when derivatives, what we now call derivatives, first started, really. And it was an interesting time in Wall Street. It was the bull market of the 1980s, which, of course, led, you had the crash of 1987. And was also an interesting period because I saw firsthand what happens when all of these new products that were created at that time, when they explode. And since that time, we've seen the cycle repeat itself several times. We saw the dot-com bubble build up with all kinds of new products, and then that exploded. There was a huge hedge fund in New York called the Long-Term Capital Management Fund, which was a huge fund managed by guys who had invented these derivative products. That blew up. And saw the WorldCom blow up, and Enron was another example of financial engineering. That was all these newfangled financial products, and that blew up. So what Wall Street's really good at is arson. Basically, Wall Street is run by arsonists. They love to see things blow up. And we're seeing right now the collapse of banking system on a spectacular level, on really an epic level, an historic level. And the guys behind it, the people behind it, have this mentality of arsonists who like to see things explode, and they're exploding. So anyway, my background, going back as a stockbroker in the 1980s, all for the past 25 years, I've always been a kind of a student of how these securities and financial products and financial derivatives are packaged. When I was in Los Angeles in the mid-'90s, I created technology myself, which was a patented technology called the virtual specialist technology. And that technology was used to create something called the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which is a very popular site. And the technology for that ended up being sold to a bond trading company in New York called Cantor Fitzgerald, and they moved that they moved the technology to the top floor of the World Trade Center 6 months before the famous events of 9/11. So that's how I've expressed before some insight into the 9/11 events. That's part of the reason why I have some insight into those events. And so I've been observing these technologies. I've created these technologies all the way to the present. To flash forward to the present, Jason, I've just created a new technology and a new. I hear the music coming in.
Yep, we're going to talk about that new.
The first commercial.
Already hit that first commercial. It's a short one here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about that new technology and the current financial events in the world with Max Keiser. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas, prisonplanet.tv, Infowars.com.